Hi, I'm Shellie Geigle with J&S Hobbies and Crafts, and thanks for stopping by to view another tutorial on how to make a mini album. This is an 8.5 by 6.5 with a 3.5 inch spine mini album, and it is featuring the Designs by Shellie Beauty and Blues paper collection. This particular one on the cover, up close you will see, but I kind of made it look like it had 14 karat gold looking accents to it. It's really super cute. Also, there is a door that opens in the front. You can put a picture, or perhaps you want to label what the album, what's in it, date it, or whatnot. If you are new to visiting my YouTube channel on my tutorials, this is a step-by-step, so we will be remaking this together. So don't be intimidated by what you see. It's very easy, just follow along. There are some options to this album. One is, those of you that don't like chunky albums, you don't have to have it this broad. I'll give you some tips on how you can make this a little less chunky. I like it. So this is how I'm going to teach it, and if you choose to use the same type of embellishments, you can, or not. Let's get started with this. Also, have a paper and pencil handy. I'll have you write down the materials that I used in this, and then when we're all done with that, I'll have you go through your craft drawer, mark off the items that you already have, or if you have something similar, save some money and use what you got. So let's take a look at what we'll be making today. First of all, I mentioned that it kind of has a 14 karat gold look to it, like accents. And I am going to bring the camera a little closer here to show you. This is one of the Prima embellishments, and as you can see, it has some of that gold in the leaves. Butterflies. There we go. Also on this, if you will notice, these are not paper flowers. I love these. These are porcelain roses that are made by Julie Herrick, and she has an Etsy store called Angel Path Crafts. They're not where you have to worry about opening and closing and breaking them. They're very sturdy. As a matter of fact, I had one laying around here, and I'll show you in just a minute when we go over the materials list just how sturdy they are. Here is the cover, and we've got a lot of lace and bling and pearls and accenting here. This also opens up so that, and I have a sentiment here, and a place where you can put a photo in there, or if you like to label what your album's about, family photos and the dates of which it applies, you can do that. It does feature the Dritz side closure, and if you notice, I hid the eye here under the paper, and on this I left this open so you could write or whatever you want to put here. And we'll come around. As you can see, it is very bulky, and it's got a lot of pretty stuff in it. I'm going to back this out just a little bit more if I can, so I can get this whole thing in here. Let's go ahead and go on to the inside here. The inside, over here we have a double pocket, and you can put more stuff in here than I did. And here's a really neat idea for your picture mats is, if you notice, this is a picture mat. I did not back the back side, but I put a magnetic flip here, so if I wanted to, I can put a bunch of different picture mats on here, snap it shut, and store it all together in one of the pockets. that is an idea. It's not hard to do. Over here we do have a fold out, and here is a fold out here. And again, this is magnetic, and it's not a hard thing to, I'm going to grab one of these mats out over here, to stick something in there if you wanted, another photo mat underneath here, and have it hold it shut. Okay. Another idea to do is to use white cardstock or crafty with this paper collection. Both look really pretty. Over here is a magnetic. It will hold this tag in place, or more mats, as you can see. And it's not going to go anywhere. Over here is just a side pocket, and I put mats in there. Okay. Here is a page, and it has a nice size pocket over here. And I'm not sure if you could see, but some really pretty flowers, and they are bulky, so if you don't like the bulkiness, you will use a flatter flower. Over here is really pretty, and I just have a little tie with lace, and this just slides out, and you can slide whatever you want back behind this and store it, and then there's a tag. You can flip this out this way, and you can have another pocket right here to store whatever it is you want. And here is another pocket right here. And then this flips out all together again. And this is a magnetic flip, so you can hold mats, as many as you'd like, and just like so. And I don't tie this, knot this real tight, otherwise it'd be too hard to unfasten every time you open it. Just a loose little deal there holding it. On this page, we got some flowers, and we've got a pocket here, and I just went ahead and did that. Here is a side pocket holding some mats. Now this is a flip, and it is magnetic, so it will hold it down, and it opens up, and there's a pocket here. And here is my waterfall right here. Bring this down. This is a double pocket over here. And we have a cross pocket to hold stuff, as many as you'd like. And coming to the final pages, no, not quite yet. Right here we have a nice fold out, some pretty flowers, and we have a pocket on the inside. And you can do a whole bunch of different things with picture mats and leftover cardstock. We're only going to use one paper pad to complete this, and what you have left over is what you need to use to make your picture mat. So as you can see, there was plenty left over. This is just something I made, and it's just an idea for you. Over here is pretty unique. This is magnetic, and you flip it out, and you have this. You can flip this out, and you have a little side pocket here. And you have like a little envelope pocket over here that you can slide stuff in and out of. And then it flips out again. And we have another one of these magnetic closures to hold our picture mats, as many as we want. Here's the same thing. This is just a magnetic flap that's going to hold it all in.
And this was just a tag I created with some leftovers, really pretty. And our final page is here. We have a really pretty side pocket. And this flips up. And I have a trim piece up here that holds the tag in if you want, and you can take that out. And this one's kind of neat. This is actually a side pocket, but as if you notice, it's underneath right here. And it doesn't go all the way down. This is cut to fit, just to slide right on back in and out of here. And you can just pull it out with the tab. And that's what we're going to be creating today. So let's go ahead and go over our materials list. The paper collection is the Designs by Shellie, or the DBS Beauty and Blues. It comes with 24 double-sided 12 by 12 sheets, and there are 2 of each page in here. So a very lovely paper collection. And again, you'll only use 1 pad for this unless you want more picture mats than I did, or you find that when taking tutorials, you do make a lot of cutting mistakes. Well, then maybe you might want to get a second pad, but all you really need is 1 pad. Okay, and also you can always coordinate in solid colored cardstock that matches the collection. The spine specialty paper, a lot of you know what this is. It is an 8.5 by 11 sheet of crocodile brown, and it's what I wrap the spine with. It's very durable. You have an option here. If you do not want to use the crocodile brown, I might suggest using the peacock white. And if I can get it up here, you can see how that looks. Peacock white would give it more of a white effect. I did choose the crocodile brown because it seems to go with everything. Not everybody wants a white spine or an album like that. I think it's lovely either way. Cardstock. I use the Coordinations Premium Cardstock Pack. It is a value pack, and 50 sheets are in here. And something that you might want to do, especially if you're going to use the white, you might want to use a white cardstock. And because the chipboard is black, you would want to wrap the edges. I am currently, the Designs by Shellie brand is currently looking to bring in white cardstock, a premium cardstock that is not the 65 pound, but 120 pounds. Some really good stuff that's good for die cutting onto inking like flowers and whatnot. So I'm looking to bring that in. Maybe it will be here by that time that this is done. Another product you're going to need is for the hinging of your album, so there's no chance of the covers or the spines or anything coming apart. This is Tyvek. It is an envelope. All we need off this is a strip, and this will last you forever. This is a durable, virtually untearable material. The size of this album is 8.5 by 6.5, and I have always cut my own chipboard down from a 12 by 12 size, and then the leftovers I use in other projects, smaller albums. It works great for. You will need 2 sheets of the medium weight chipboard. And this does come in a value pack. Okay, adhesives, shimmers, glues. Most importantly, that stickles is what I used for that gold effect. Now this is just the regular gold. It's not the antique gold. It will throw it off totally. But stickles. I did experiment with regular glitter glue. It does not give it the same effect. So you will want to get the stickles gold. You will want a package of score tape. Now I'm using the 1/4 inch by 27 yards, and that is what's going to keep your album together and your pages down. and your hinges there. I do alternate some of the stuff with using Art Glitter Designer glue. And it has no glitter in it, it's just the brand name. And this is a white glue that dries clear. It's good for metal, it's good for resin, paper, everything. But I do suggest if you get this, you get the metal tip for it. What it does is it cuts down the glue usage, and all you do is you stick this little tip right on there, and then the stream is less, and you can really get some nice fine lines out of it, and it really cuts down the glue usage, and then you don't have to worry about warpage. Wink of Stella. Now Wink of Stella is used on the porcelain roses, it's used on butterflies. I use it on almost anything and everything. It's really nice. One thing about this, and I do want to tell you, because a lot of people don't read the instructions, that when you get this, if you notice there is a black ring right here, you will unscrew your pen and just get rid of that black ring, screw it back on. The black ring is a shipping ring. It won't work until that is gone. So, and when you are done, when you feel like there is nothing left in your pen to get a second use out of it, go ahead and take that off. You will remove this little black casing here, like so. Like mine is just about out. I have just a little bit left down in here. And then you're going to remove the tip, and you can put some rubbing alcohol down to fill this little teeny casing. Rubbing alcohol works great. And then what you're going to do is just put it all back together. Oops. And you're going to shake it up really good. And then of course you're going to squeeze a little bit into the chamber, and you'll get a full use out of that. So that is a tip that I learned, and it works wonderfully. Okay, some trims that I used is Bling on a Roll, and that is the bling right here. And it is a single row, and this is what it looks like. And this is very inexpensive. It's like 10 yards of this, and it's less than $4. So that is what I use on a lot of projects to dress it up. On the cover, I did use a flat back pearl trim. And all you need to do this project is 1 yard will do you just fine. You'll have some leftovers to use on your picture mats or tags or other pages if you would like. Some resin embellishments I used was by Prima, and I did use 2 of these in the project. This one's on the cover, and then I put the stickles around it to look like it was accented in gold. This is on one of the inner pages, and this little clock I did have left over. However, you can use that right on the back here. The other resin pack I used was this one, and I used the birds, I used the love. This is actually featured on the back of my album I just showed you, and you'll have a few things left over, and if you're going to be doing a wedding album, this would be perfect to put right on this. But these birds are featured inside, and I think they are just cute. Now the 3D type of butterflies that I used were these, and these are by Petaloo, and it's the do-it-yourself. You can ink these, paint these, whatever you want to do with these. And as you can see on mine, instead of bringing it up, I'm gonna zoom in. I went ahead and did some inking around here and some gold accents, and these are used throughout the album. Another butterfly that I did use was the Prima Flutterbits. They're the small little butterflies. 96 of these butterflies come per package, and I'm still working on mine. But I did use these on the cover, and you can use these on the inside as well. They're really good. Drits. Now, Dritz extra large hook and eyes. I use this on a lot of my albums, almost all of them now, instead of the ribbon tie-offs. It's completely up to you. 3 sets come per pack, and that is what this is. And I just like it because it's a nice clean look, and unless you want the ties, then you would use ribbon ties and tuck them under the paper. Okay, magnets. I did use the 3/8 magnets by 1/16. Now these are very strong craft magnets. They work excellent, especially with the cardstock and burying them underneath there. Now, I used a lot in this album. If you buy 20 magnets, you'll be fine, 20 or less. And while we're going through this project, there are places where you don't really need them, but I like them because it does keep everything enclosed better. On the spine, I do have the Tim Holtz Ornate plates. I don't have a package here to show you. I forgot it at the store. 6 of these come in a package. 3 of them, I believe, are oval, and the other 3 are a rectangular opening for the sentiment. I did use the oval on this, but you can use either or, and you'll need one of these. So you'll have plenty left over for other projects. Now, flat back pearls, I used a variety. If you only have one type on hand at home, we'll of course use those. I did use a dome colored one, a smaller fancy one, and another size up fancy one. A pack of 20 should do you throughout the album, and that includes some of my tags that I put them on. Let me bring some up closer here, show you what I was using. Something like that. And there is another size too, I believe, but it was a mixture, and you can do whatever you'd like to do as far as that. Inks that I used were 3 of them. This was used on a lot of my butterflies. It's the Memento Summer Sky. And I also did on one of Julie's porcelain roses, I did ink around the edges there with some of the blue. Now, one thing about her roses is you can ink edges on them, and you can apply the Winkostella like I did to give it a shimmer. But for the most part, that's what I did for my butterflies and one of my roses. For the leaves, on my leaves, I did stamp the image. They are stamped and die cut. If you have your own prepackaged leaves, well, I use them. I did stamp and ink around the edges and blot a little bit of the olive grove on the leaves. And then I went back over it with Memento's New Sprout. And this is a totally different color than the Pear Tart. It gives it a different look. They're along the same lines, but the Pear Tart, if you have that on hand, you can use it, of course. I have both on hand, but I like the New Sprout, and those two together were great. Okay. For the porcelain roses, again, they are made by Julie Herrick of Angel Path Crafts. And I used 3 of the white, I used 2 of the baby blue, and 1 of the Liberty Blue on the cover. Other flowers, like on the inside, that I used was the Kaiser Craft Paper Blooms. And I'm going to back this out a little. There we go. And this is the iceberg, and this was used throughout on the inside of the album. I also used a few of the honey, and I apologize, I don't have a fresh package. I'm going to use what I have left. And honey was used on a couple of the pages on the inside. Now, filler. I did use filler with it. around on the front and the cover. And I'll tell you, this is what I did. I went down to, I believe it was Joann's or Michael's. All this is dried baby's breath, and it's holding up just fine. It's not crumpling all over my paper, but I did use that, and I was just snipping little bits and pieces. And then I also found this, and these are some baby blue, and all I've been doing is snipping and tucking them back underneath there. Okay, for the leaves on and in this album, I used the Heartfelt Creations Italiana Grapevines die and the matching stamp. The die number is an HCD1772, and you'll get a bunch of different dies plates in here on that. And then the stamp was an HCPC 3696, and you get the matching stamp set for that. And here is one that I've already got prepared, ready to go for this. And I also got the smaller ones like this, ready to go. You will want to get yourself some ribbon to make bows or for your side closure of the drits. Any ribbon will do, white, cream, any size pretty much. I did use some of the already made white satin bows in this, and I think I used about 3 or 4, and then 3 or 4 total, including on some tags and stuff. Now the tags and the picture mats, you'll be doing those on your own. You don't need me, because everyone has their own size pictures, and some people like to crop theirs down more than others. So I will tell you what I do when making those, but you'll be doing that at the very end. Punches, dies that were used. If you are not a die cutter, then of course you'll want to use the different punches. The Spellbinders die that I used a few times in here was the Curved Borders 2, and that is the curved type of pocket trim you see here. And the number on that is an S5201. And then there was the S5181, which was a straight across trim that I use in a few places. There are several different ones of these, and whatever one you like, use. I did use the Martha Stewart's deep edge punch, and this one's called Embroidery. And then I used the 1/2 inch, and this one I believe, I want to say it's called Flourish Lace. And it comes in a combo pack, so you would get this plus the corner punch that coordinates with it. But if you have punches already on hand, a 1/2 inch and then the deep edge, use what you got. Okay, lace. Now I'm using a variety of pieces that I already have on hand. You would be safe to have 2 yards of either a 1 1/2 or 1 1/4 inch nice lace. I'm also have some real thin stuff as well that I'm probably going to work in there. Now 1/2 inch lace, you will want some 1/2 inch lace. I'm using a very thin one, and these are what I am using for underneath the flowers inside the album, and trim. And you can also, if you have a thicker lace for trim, if you want to use it, you can. 1 yard total should be plenty. Okay, things that you will need that might help you, or perhaps some clamps to hold things down. Binder clips work really well. You will want scissors, a ruler. You will want a scoreboard, and of course your paper cutter. Now also, one thing I didn't mention in adhesives is if you have a hot glue gun, that is also handy to use, especially with gluing down your flowers. There's no dry time really. You just glue it down, stick it, and it's stuck. So I do use the hot glue gun throughout this album in certain places, and then of course I use my white glue in other places. I think that's all we need. Let's get started. Okay, let's construct the album. Grab one of your pieces of medium weight chipboard. This is a 12 by 12 size. Measure over 8.5 inches and cut it. This is what you should have. This should be 3.5 inches wide. Turn this, measure down 8.5 inches and cut it. Stick this off to the side. You won't be using this for the rest of the project. We will be using this. This is our spine piece. Now, looking at it like this, turn it, measure over 6.5 inches and cut it. The smaller piece, you're going to stick off in your pile. You won't be using the rest that for the rest of the project. You will be left with an 8.5 by 6.5 piece of chipboard. This is our front cover. Grab your next piece of chipboard, measure over 8.5 inches and cut it. We do not need this piece. We'll set that off to the side. Looking at it, turn it, measure over 6.5 inches and cut it. Okay, the smaller piece, put off to the side. We won't be using this. This is 8.5 by 6.5. This is our back cover. Now looking at your pieces we won't be using, if you notice you have two identical pieces for a smaller album that you could make, you would just chop this down for the spine piece. Or these are the perfect size if you're going to be taking my Gypsy Wagon Caravan tutorial. That was just an FYI, just in case you're wondering what other projects you can do. Okay, let's lay these out in front of us, and we're going to get our Tyvek. Now, on your Tyvek, there is the flap with the adhesive. We're going to go ahead and cut that right on off. Okay, I just throw mine away. I don't use it. Now, all we are looking to get, and you will see that this is doubled up, so one cut down to get our strip will be plenty. What we want is a 1.5 inch strip, and then we'll trim it from there. You can put this away. We won't be using this again. You will have something like this. We're going to go ahead, and you might want to use your paper cutter and just trim off one side so now we're opened. Okay, now like this, put them together. And what you're going to do, just measure over about 8 inches and cut it. You should now have two strips that are 1.5 inches wide by 8 inches tall. Now, your album is 8.5 inches tall, but that's okay. We don't need it to go completely from the top to the bottom. It's unnecessary. We're going to go ahead and score these, but just to show you what's going to be happening here is these are actually going to go right on over the seam of the spine piece and the cover, the back cover and the spine. So let's get our scoreboard out and get ready to do that. And we're going to need our score tape. Okay. On each one of your strips, you are going to score it right down the middle, which is 3/4 of an inch. If you have the seam here where it splits, don't worry about it. You can just put a little bit of glue or a little bit of score tape there to hold it down. It's not going to hurt us none. And then on the second one again, 3/4. And we're going to fold that on each. Now, go ahead and flip these over. What we're going to do is apply score tape on each side, 2 rows, but you're not going to get it on the score mark, the score line. And you're going to make sure that if you have any overhang of score tape on the top and the bottom, that it gets trimmed off. You don't want that. And this is, I'm going to do this first one, and then we can just do it again on the second piece. And you can use your scissors to snip off yours. I'm just tearing it at this point. A little bit quicker for me. Now, here's your notice. I do have score tape peeking over the side. This is where I was saying you want to make sure you trim those off. Okay, we're going to repeat that for this piece. Let's grab our pencil and our ruler. And what we're going to do, and this will help you to keep these straight when we put them on, is take your ruler and measure up from the bottom about 1/8 of an inch on each side and make a mark. And that will help you as far as getting these on straight on both sides, because that's what we are looking to do. Now you can start over here, and you can also mark 1/8 over here with your ruler. Okay, you're not going to take off the score tape on both sides. Let's work with this one. And you do have the fold facing in. Remove one side of the score tape. Using a craft knife to get up your double-sided tape, the adhesive, the covering, it helps. Okay, so all you're going to do is line up the bottom of this where your pencil mark is, right to the edge of the chipboard. And you are going to apply it all the way down, making sure you're right at the edge there. And then you're going to press that down. Now, you are going to grab your spine piece, and you are going to hold it flush together. We're going to remove the score tape, holding them together, and you're going to flatten it down and smooth it out. I've got my score tape, the backing off. I have it flush, and I'm making sure that these are flush together. Now I'm just going to fold it over, like I had said. And what we're going to do is repeat that. We're going to remove one side of the score tape. The fold is on the inside, and we are going to do the same thing. We're going to put it all the way down at the edge, and once that's down, we will push this together, making sure we are even going across. Remove this side and flop it over. Okay, I have 6 pieces of 8.5 by 11 black cardstock here, and I am going to cut mine 3 at a time. It will make it easier. What the idea here is, we turn it like this, and we measure over 6 3/16 and cut it. You will end up with this. And you can stick this off to the side. We'll get into that in just a moment. We're going to turn this and measure over 8 3/16 and cut it again. Okay, we're going to go ahead and grab our next 3 sheets. If you're able to do 3 at a time, fine. If you have to cut them individually, then do so. I'm going to measure over again 6 3/16 and cut it, and then I'm going to turn it and measure over 8 3/16 and cut it. So we will end up with 6 pieces that are 8 3/16 by 6 3/16. Okay, set your 6 pieces off to the side. Let's go ahead and grab one of our sheets of cardstock, looking at it like this, measure over 8 3/16 and cut it. Okay, What we're going to do now is we're going to be cutting our hinges for our base pages here. So we have 8 3/16 this way. Measure over 1.5 and cut it. Okay, what you're going to do now is you are going to cut 2 more pieces of 1.5 inch wide by 8 3/16 long. So we'll need 2 of those strips. Okay, I have a total of 3 here. And what we're going to do is just set those right off to the side with our base cardstock sheets. Now what we're going to do is grab another piece of our scrap cardstock here. We're going to measure over 8 3/16 and cut it down. Okay, we want to cut for our 2 strips that are going to cover our Tyvek strips that we're going to get to in just a moment. So go ahead and measure over, I would say about 1 3/4 inch and cut it. Okay, and let's do that again. Measure over 1 3/4 inch and cut it. Okay, so these are 1 3/4 inches wide by 8 3/16 long. Let's get our score pal out, or scoring board. And what we're going to do here is we are going to score right down the middle. 7/8 should be approximately the middle on each. So I'm going to do that, 7/8. The middle point. We also are going to get another piece of our leftover black cardstock there in a moment, but let's start off with this, and we're going to fold these. Grab your book. Let's get our score tape out. All we're going to do here is place about 3 rows would be fine, going down so it holds. And this is just our covering to cover up the white Tyvek. I'm looking into finding some black Tyvek, so this won't be necessary in the future, but I'm not finding it at a reasonable price. It seems very expensive. And so I'm just gonna do this. And if you get any of the score tape hanging off, you'll want to clip that. Okay, so remember how we did the Tyvek, how we placed it like this. And all we're going to do is go from the bottom of the Tyvek there, right on top of it, just enough to cover that white. And the crease is facing the inside, so let's remove one side of the Tyvek, or one side of the score tape to cover the Tyvek. Okay, so I'm just going to place this right down at the bottom of the white, bringing it all the way up to the score mark on that, and I'm going to place it just like we did before. Now I'm going to remove the score tape here, and I'm going to fold it over. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and place the score tape on each side of this one, and we're going to do the same thing, is placing it right like so and folding it over. And I'm going to place this. Now, if you do get a little bit of white showing, it's not the end of the world. Let's go ahead and get another piece of our scrap leftover black cardstock. Measure over 8 3/16 and trim that down. I've done that. Now, what we're trying to do now is cover up the chipboard, and it's going to lay right in between here, but we do need to cut it. So let's start off measuring over 3.5 inches and cutting it. Now, what you want to do to make sure that you don't need to trim this down anymore is you are just going to place this right in between here, right on the spine. So what I usually do is pull up one side like so and pull up the other side. If I see it's catching or buckling, then I am going to trim it just a hair down. But it looks like mine is going to fit without catching on the other side. So at this point, if you are fitting or if you need to trim it down just a little bit. But let's go ahead and apply our score tape. And we're just going to go around like a picture frame to start. That's kind of how I describe it. And I'm just going to do it just like this. If you have any of the white score tape peeking out or off to the side, you do need to trim that up. Okay, once you got it around the edges, and you can do it in strips, you are just going to eyeball this and kind of bring down several going across. Once you've got this down, we're going to take off the backing of the score tape. Okay. All I'm going to do now is line this up with the top of our hinges here. And hopefully my head won't get in the way. And you want to stay in between. Sometimes it's easier to lift one side to see what you're doing here. Let's see how I did. It's fitting and it's not buckling. Okay, set this off to the side. Let's get our 3 hinges. And this is real simple. You're going to do this on all 3 of them. You're going to score it at the 1/2 inch mark and the 1 inch mark on all 3 of these. And then you're just going to fold on the score lines. Once you've done this to each one of these hinges, you're going to turn it over and you're going to apply 2 rows of score tape in between the score marks, being careful not to get it on the scoring line. You can overlap the tape, it won't hurt it. And you're going to do this to each one. So let's go ahead and do our other pieces. Okay, we're ready to place our hinges on our spine. Grab a ruler and a pencil. All I do here is pull up one side, place my ruler up against it, make a mark with pencil at the 1.5 inch mark. Grabbing one of your hinges now I'm going to show you how this is done before I pull the backing off. If you're looking at your hinge like this, pinch over one side. What you're going to do is line up the top of this with the top of the cardstock here, that piece we just placed. Once you've got that down, you're going to come right on top, the left side here, right on top of your mark. So you won't see your pencil mark anymore. But this is the middle point for this. And you're just going to bring this down as straight as possible, just like so. So I'm going to remove my tape, backing off the score tape here, and I'm going to place the first one. I'm going to lean over so I can see what I'm doing. Right about there. Okay, I've got the top, so I just kind of press down the top there, and that's always easiest. And then I'm just going to bring this straight down to the bottom, trying to keep it as even as possible, like this. So our first hinge is placed. Let's go ahead and place our other one. Pushing your ruler up against this hinge, measure over about a 1/2 inch and make a mark here. Come over to this side, do the same thing, place your ruler up and make a mark at the half, whoops, that's a little more than half, Shellie, at the 1/2 inch mark. Just like that. This is where we're going to do it again. We'll pinch over the left side of the flap there. We'll line it up with the top and come right down over that mark, pulling it straight. And we're going to do that for this side. Now, on this side, looking at your hinge, you're going to do it on this, the right side flap, you're going to fold in. And you'll place it at the top, come right down over that pencil mark, and that should even us out. I have the dishwasher going in the background, so if you hear some motor sound, that's what it is. I'm behind on getting my chores done. Okay, so bringing this up to the top. And now pulling it as straight as I can. That should be pretty straight there. And that looks good to me. That is going to work just fine. Let's grab our cardstock pages. And you're going to do this on every single one, laying one piece of score tape right at the edge. Careful not to go over the edge. If you do, trim it down. If you hang over with any, if you can see any score tape when you flip this over, you've got to trim it up. Okay, this one is done. I'm going to set this off to the side. We're going to do that for the 5 remaining pieces of black cardstock. Okay, so I have all my strips down, and I'm going to show you just how easy it is to place these. Okay, and I'm going to show you, before I take the adhesive backing off the score tape, I'm going to show you really quick. All you do is you bring your page in, make sure the bottom of this is even with the bottom of your hinge. And if you cut your hinges and your pages right, they should all be 8 3/16 tall. So this top of the hinge should match the top of your cardstock inner page. And all you do once you have it laying there is flap it over. So I'm going to do this really quick, and I'll do a couple of them so you can see. So I'm just pulling this right on in, flush against it. And now I'm just flapping it over. And that's how easy it is. I'm going to grab my next one. And I'm just going to fold these flaps back to get them out of my way. I'm going to come in, making sure I line up the top and the bottom, and just flip it on over. And one more time, and then you can go ahead and do the rest of them. I'm going to come right in on the side here, butt it up against it, and flap it over. Okay, we got 3 remaining ones. Let's go ahead and put those in. Alrighty, I just got my last one in, and I've got my sheets. If you are not exactly straight across, I am straight across going this way. If it's a little off, don't worry about it, because chances are you're not going to be able to tell. Anyway, this is where you should be at. You should have some nice spacing in between here. Okay, I think that we are ready to move on to decorating the outside. Okay, before we go any further, I do want to tell you that any scrap pieces that you have after we've made a cut, you definitely want to put those in a reserve pile. Now, even the most significant scraps you will want to, just in case I use it somewhere in the album. A piece this size I may grab. So until the project is completely done, you'll want to save everything. You'll want to make a pile for your black cardstock scrap pieces. You'll want to make a pile for your scrap of your designer paper. Okay, we need to get after, find it in here, this sheet. Let's go ahead and pull this sheet out. Looking at it like this, we're going to measure over 6 inches and cut it right down the middle. This is what you should have. You're going to take this and put it in your reserve pile. We will get to that in a moment. Now, I usually do consistent how I ask you to cut things. So turn your paper like this, and you are going to measure over. Do 8 3/8. That's just a hair under 8 1/2. So if you measure over 8 3/8 and cut it, that's what we need to do. Okay, now we do want this because I did cut this piece off to get it on the top here, and I'm going to show you what I did, and I'll give you the measurements. This little piece up here actually gets placed up here. Okay, let's turn this, measure over 1 1/2 inches and cut it. Put this in your reserves, and we're going to work with this. Now, I always, on the inside, if you look, when we placed our hinges, we placed them lower, okay? And it gives us some space up here. This is the top of the album where there's a little more space. The bottom is where the pages are further down. So keeping that in mind, this would now be our cover. And if it's easier for you to make a mark to keep you from putting something upside down once we get going, you can always flip it over to the back and just put a B on the back, for now at least. Okay. We want to put score tape on the back of this, and then it's going to place right down. And how I usually do it is I like to leave a little bit, about a 1/16 of an inch, which will show just a little bit of black around the edges. Okay, then what we're going to do is place this right on top. Now don't worry about the seam. You're not going to be able to see it when we're done. So the best way to tell you to put your score tape so that nothing comes lifting up is we're going to go around the outside like a picture frame. Okay, flip this over, and on this side pinch it so you keep your spot. You're going to want to place another piece of score tape right next to the other, because our Dritz hook is going to place here, and if you don't have that extra piece of score tape, it could lift. So let's do that. The next thing is we're going to place one right down the middle, and then we're going to place 2. One here in between there, and one in between here. And that should be plenty to hold the embellishments on this side. So I am going to remove all my score tape, and then I'm going to place this piece carefully, making sure it's all the way over to the right, with the exception of showing a little bit of black. Hopefully even. Okay, the next thing is this piece that we want to place. And all I'm going to do for this is go around it like a picture frame. And that's how I do a lot of mine. Kind of explain it like that. Kind of just how I do that. Alrighty. And there's not a whole lot of embellishments up in on the other side going here, but I'm just going to put a little bit there just in case it wants to try and buckle. So now I'm just going to remove this. Okay. And I'm going to line up the top here and just cover it, making sure I'm even over here too. And that looks pretty good to me. Okay, let's grab in reserves our other piece. I'm going to turn it like this. Now I'm going to measure down 8 3/8 and cut it. Stick this in reserves. Let's flip over our album. And it's going to place all the way over like this. Here, let me open this up so you can see. Here's my spine hinge there. But it's going to place just like that. Now don't worry that you're short because we have a spine wrap to go over all this. So we're going to do the exact same thing as we did on the cover. We're going to put our score tape around the outside. On this side, pinch it, turn it over. You will lay your second piece of score tape, one down the middle and then 2 on the side. So this is what your back should look like. Now all we do is remove the score tape and we are going to mount it. This goes up on the right hand side. Let me get rid of that. So how it's going to look. Remember to leave a little bit of black over here and a little up and down here. And then it's going to place just like that. So there's the back. And here's our front. Let's get our specialty paper. Looking at your specialty paper like this, let's cut this down to size. Measure over 7.5 inches and cut it. Okay, you can stick this off to the side in your reserves. Now you should be 7.5 inches this way and 8.5 inches this way. No further cutting is needed on this. Let's get our scoreboard out. And this is 7.5 across. At 1 3/4 inch mark, let's do a first score mark to get us started. And you don't have to do a real sharp bend, just a soft bending is all you need right now. Let's grab our album. And the easiest way is if you hold it up like this and you place your hand over the top, like so, keeping it open, not like this, not like this, but as even as you can keep it. So now I'm just going to place this where I have the score right on the edge here. I'm going to use my thumb to hold it there for a moment. Now I'm just going to take my hand and smooth it this way, and as I come around behind, this is where I'm going to pinch it. Okay? That pinch mark is approximately where I need to score it again. And if you put it down, I'm looking about 5.5 inches there. Making sure I'm straight. 5.5 inch mark. And that's going to be close to giving us 1 3/4, maybe a hair over for the back side. So I'm just going to kind of smooth it out fairly even. Now let's check to make sure before we put our score tape on. If you were to take it now and go like this, does it fit? Is it a nice fit? Mine is. Let's get our score tape out. And all you're going to do is take it panel by panel. You do not want to get score tape on your crease. So I'm going to go around each panel like a picture frame, like so. And I'm going to put one down the middle. I'm going to do the same for this side now. Okay, I've got both those done. Now I'm going to work on this one. And I'm going to go around the inside like a picture frame. Okay, and I'm just going to do 1, 2. Okay, now this is what you should look like. Okay, we are going to remove one panel, and this is going to be for our front. And you don't want to remove the back or this yet. This is the easiest way I know to help you keep this on straight on your album without getting all crooked. So I'm going to remove this. And I'm going to get my album up like so. In a moment I will try to turn this so you can see exactly what I'm doing, but like we were doing when we were measuring, we're just going to stick the back side that has the score tape still on it and let it fit around in that crease. Now again, holding this where it's supposed to be open, put your hand here, use your thumb or one of your fingers back here to hold that. Use this hand to come smooth it around. Okay? Now what you do is you can take your thumb here, the middle one, press in the middle. Now you can just do like so. And it should go on straight. Okay, so let's flip our album back all the way over this way. Now you can go ahead and remove the rest of the score tape, and it will wrap around. It should wrap around and evenly. And we're going to take this slow, and you're going to do it panel by panel, but we are going to remove all the score tape at once. Now, sometimes getting the spine piece on takes a little practice. It's just a matter of how you hold the album and getting comfortable with that, you know, how to get this on. Alright, so I'm holding it open like it should be, not like this, not like that. I'm trying to keep it as straight as possible. Put my hand on here, okay, to hold it. I usually put pressure down so it doesn't slide on me. I'm going to take this hand, come around the back, and I'm in the middle now, and I'm going to smooth it this way. Now I'm going to take my palm again, and I'm going to try to show you. I'm going to try and keep this fairly straight so I don't mess up this album. So what you're going to do is come around and smooth this way. But now I'm going to show you what I'm doing. Moving my hand right in the middle. And once you got that middle down, then you can smooth up and you can smooth down. Okay, now in order to make sure all of our score tape is down, what you'll want, because you're going to be real stiff right now, you're going to separate your pages like this and lay it down. You might see a lot of air bubbles start coming up. That's why you're going to use your thumb or one of your fingers, and now you can pinch these together to get that score tape to get down. Okay, make sure that gets all the way down. And we're going to do the same thing over here. And it's just a matter of like so. Now, when you open up, now it'll still be a little stiff, which it's supposed to be, but as you work your pages, it'll get a little looser. But the idea is just to get down that score tape, make sure it's down. So when you open it up again, if you need to do it a second time, and then once you've done that, you won't have to do it again. So this is on. Let's move on to getting our lace. Okay, so I'm going to use my white glue, and I'm going to cut 2 strips, one that will fit the front and one that's going to fit the back. And this, any lace, like I had stated before, will do. This lace is a different style than what I used on the original. I'm using what I have, and I'm just going to use this white glue because it will dry clear. Make sure that's down. Whoops, there goes my dog Lucy. She must hear a delivery out front. And this is a good time to use a binder clip to hold that down till the glue grabs. Okay, one thing we are going to need to do is get our bling out and our flat back pearl trim, and we're also going to get our flat back pearls out. And we're going to do this first, and then we're going to move on to this. Okay, so we have this glued down, and the back. My back should be glued down now too. I'm going to use this to prop this up so you can see. You're going to want to cut flat back pearl trim, 2 pieces of this. One's going to be for the front and one's going to be for the back. It's going to be about 8.5 inches long. You're going to cut 2 strips for each side of your bling. So this is how it's going to look when we get this all glued down. And you'll cut for the back too to do the same thing. We're also going to get some flat back pearls, and I am using, I've got 5 here. And we are going to glue one here, one here, one here, one here, and one here. So let's go ahead and glue this down, and we're going to do the exact same thing for the back. Okay, so I've got mine down here. It's all glued down, and I did the same for the back. I just now need to put my flat back pearls on just the same as I did here, and we are going to get into our paper pack. Alright, in our paper pack we are going to open up and find this sheet. It is this really pretty flowery blue on one side. What we're going to do is use the paper trimmer, and the easiest way that I would do is take your cutter and slice off your sentiments, slice off this trim piece, and then cut across here to get this out. This is the one we want. I got the piece that I want, and all of this will be going into our reserves. What we're going to do for this is we are going to apply our white glue to the back here. And this just gets placed right where the seam is here. And then of course, I'm going to bring this up. You can see where the right hand side, you'll see a little bit of the bluish gray. You can go ahead and stick that down. Now the drits, we could have stuck it underneath this front cover paper, but we're going to stick it behind this time, and we're going to do it that way. So it's a hidden side closure piece. Now in your reserves, we are going to use our paper cutter and slice this out, and we want this piece. Okay, also in your reserves you will have this. We are needing to get precious memories out, so I'm going to slice off my sentiments here and then cut that on out. Okay, you should have one of these black pieces of cardstock in your reserves. Let's go ahead and turn this, measure down 5 inches and cut it. Okay, so you should be 5 inches tall here. Measure over 3 3/8 and cut it. Your final piece is 3 3/8 by 5 inches. Let's get our scoreboard out. Okay, I'm 3 3/8 across. Measure over, and you might need your ruler if you don't have all the small notches, 3 1/16. And we are going to score on that. I have to move mine over to get the notches. Okay. And let's go ahead and fold on that. Okay. My flap is tucked back behind now. Okay. This piece should fit on here. If you need to trim up, I see I didn't get it exactly on the line there, but when you put this down, it should fit. Okay, you're going to have a little black at the top and a little at the bottom. We're just going to put some glue on this, and we are just going to center that. Just like so. Okay, the flap is off to the left. We're going to flip it over, and we are going to glue this one right down in here. And center that as best we can. Okay. If you need to use your tool to make sure that this is creased good, go ahead and do that. Score tape. You're going to put your flap open like this, and you're just going to place it, and you'll have just enough for this 1/4 inch score tape to fit. Okay, set that off to the side. Let's get some black cardstock for this. I have a leftover scrap piece. Oops, we are turning. Oh boy. Okay, I'll fix that in a moment. I have a leftover scrap piece, and the idea here is all we want to do is glue this down to it, and we are going to trim this down just to leave a little bit of black there, about a 1/16 off to each side and around. So let's do that. This is what you should have so that it should fit perfectly there. We're just going to glue that right on down. And center it. Perfect. I'm going to get this, pop it up, and we're going to get ready to place this down. Okay, you are going to need 2 magnets as well, so I'm just going to stick these off to the side. The first thing I want to do is get this down, and I'm going to give you the measurements on how far to come down and how far it should be over, because what's going to happen is we're going to end up peeling this backing off and placing this like so. We want to be a 1/2 inch down and a 1/2 inch over. So I'm going to go ahead and first mark where a 1/2 inch is here. And then I'm going to come down about a 1/2 inch or so. Make a mark. Okay, I'm going to take my backing off. Make sure this is steady. And just make sure I'm looking at the right thing here. Move that. I know that that's a 1/2 inch and that's a 1/2 inch. Right there. And I'm just going to make sure that I'm going straight right on down. Okay. One magnet is going to get placed on this. One magnet is going to be placed under this, which should fit nicely in there. So the first thing that we want to do is put our magnet off to the side. And it is going to get covered by the clock embellishment. So I'm just going to stick that there. Now on the flip side, the easiest way to line it up here is on the back side of this, let your magnet fall, put a dot in the middle of it of glue, and press down. That's going to tell you exactly where this magnet needs to be placed. Now let's go ahead and apply our glue to the back of this. And we're just going to place that right like so. And it's going to cover that magnet. So it will stay shut. Okay? Okay. Let's go ahead and get some of our other embellishments, and we're going to do this first and then we'll do this decorating down here last. For the leaves, if you're using the same die as me, the Heartfelt Creations Italiana, you're going to want 1, 2 of these. You'll want 1, 2, 3, 4 of these. I'm going to set these off to the side. You're going to want your flowers. And I've got 2 baby blue, 3 white, and Liberty blue. And I have applied Wink Stella to all of these except this one. This one, what I did do is, and I'm going to show you how I did it really quick. With the Memento Summer Sky, all I did is go around the edges lightly to give it a little blue color before I applied the Wink Stella. Just to give it a hint of blue around the edges. And as far as applying the Wink Stella, it is really easy to apply to this, and all you do is just take your brush and brush it on here. Now I did use some filler as well, and I showed that to you in the beginning, and I will cut as I go. We do need a piece of lace to go here and here, so get those ready to go. You're also going to want to get ready to go is the Prima clock. We want our stickles as well. Okay, so I have some lace up here and I've cut it to fit, and all I'm going to do is apply my glue, get this down. Now you don't want any to overhang over here because we have our flowers, and remember this has got to be able to open up. So for now, let's just make sure that we get this down, and then I'm going to show you about positioning the flowers so it still opens up for you. Okay. All right. Excuse me. We're also going to need 2 of our butterflies, and it's probably a good time to get those out now too. And I'm going to grab mine. Actually going to need 4 butterflies, 2 of these, and 2 of the flutter bits. I did have one of the polka dotted ones, and I did have one of the other ones, and I did create some dots on that. This particular one I did add ink to, and mine came apart, which is fine because it looks like they layered it, several layers here. There. Okay. All I did with this first is just give it a little bit of ink color around the edges and brushing it. I did add a Winkastella to it afterwards, and I will show you. I dabbed a little in the middle, and then here as well. Okay. And I did get this one too. A little more ink. And I didn't go real heavy. If you want to go heavier than what I'm doing, go ahead. Oops. All right. Castella. And we're going to need our stickles as well. And I think what we're going to do is apply the stickles first before we glue anything else down. I think that's going to be our best bet, and then let it dry. So I'm going to move this off to the side here. I'm also going to grab out 2, it looks like slate blue to me, of the butterflies. And I got my stickles. And we are going to have to let this dry. So all I did with this is put a bunch of stickles over it. There's one. And you can add more if you want more. There. Wow, that made a difference. Okay, I'm just going to stick that off to the side. Okay. For this butterfly, and I'm probably going to zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. And I did apply Winkastella to these too. Okay, all I did was I hit the tips like so to start. 4 tips. Okay, and I went right down the middle here, lightly. That's the back wing. Okay, and on this one, all I did was little dots of gold. And I got a goop, a lot of it right there. I don't need that much. Okay, so I'm going to set this one off to the side. On this one, I just went and I got the tips. And then over the black is where I put the dots of gold. And then I think I put a little down the middle there. If you want to get the antennas, put a little on there, that works. I'm going to set that off to the side. Okay, for the clock, all I did was I put a dot right here. And then you just carefully outline this with the stickles to give it that 14 karat gold look. Okay, put a dot in the middle here. I did do right down here. And that's all that I did for that one. I'm going to bring it up a little closer. That's all I did. And then after it dries, you can touch it up if you need to. But that one sets off to the side as well. Alrighty. Not all of these need the stickles, so I'm just going to hit the ones. Looks like I did 2 to start, and then the other ones were done after everything was laid. So for the leaves, to give it that look, all I did was I go right down the little vein, just like that. And then like so. And I have no idea why this keeps clogging on me, but it is. Okay, there we go. And it's just a little bit, and you can go back and touch it up. So there's one, and then I'm going to grab the other one that I did. Okay, and we will touch up anything that needs to be touched up when we are done. Let's let that dry. Those dry at least. There, you're going to need one more, so a total of 4 of these. Let's see, oh, there they is. It's already down. Okay. So 3 of them. Let's see, wait, 1, 2, I'm counting here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 3 of these actually out of the 4 need it. It's throwing me off. I was like, wait. Okay. If you want to add the stickles to any of the flowers, you can. I did not, but that would be a pretty accent. So we're going to let those dry, the butterflies and leaves, really quick. And then we're going to come back and then we're going to start placing everything. Okay, I think mine is still a little bit wet, but that's okay. If I smear it, then I'll fix it when I'm done. But let's get going with this. I do want to place this first. And when this is half going to hang off to the side, so there's something to grab on. But make sure you get that glue right there. So I am just going to go right down the middle. Make sure you get it on the right side there. And place this right like that. Now, one thing I did do was lift this and hold it for a moment to make sure on the other side that I don't got glue seeping all over the place. And if you do, just wipe it off. Okay, I'm going to let that sit there. All right, on these pieces, the longer pieces, they do stick here. However, before you do anything, one thing you're going to want to do is off to the left where this is going to open. You don't want that to catch, so just snip off that little piece there. Now I am going to use the hot glue gun on this because if it gets a little seepage, I'm not going to worry about it too much because we do lay a bunch of flowers over this. So I am going to quickly just add some hot glue here, making sure it does not go over this edge. Okay, I got some just to stick it down. Now I can put a little white glue where needed to tack these down. Okay, for the top, it's the same idea. However, there is that little squiggly off to the left, so all we're going to do on that is position this so this part here is not going to get caught in the crease when we lift it. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do here. And the first thing I'm going to watch is right over here. I'm going to actually trim that off a little. There we go. Okay. The filler, as far as the filler, I'm going to actually add that last. I am going to take the Liberty Blue rose first and place it. Now leave enough room right here because we do have a sentiment to place, little square one. So right about here, and I'm going to use hot glue again, and I'm going to center this. The one that I put a little bit of blue around the edges, that one goes right here. Let's grab those so we're not fighting it. Is this one first. This actually gets laid right up on top of the clock. So I am going to use a little hot glue to get that tacked down like so. And now here comes this one. Okay. The next one is another white flower, and I'm going to stick this one right like that. I'm having a hard time seeing what I'm doing, but I think that that's good. This is not quite glued down all the way, but I want to check. Let's make sure. Yep, I'm still opening. Okay, so the next one you want to do is the white one, and it goes right up here. And then we have a blue one that goes right here. And then the other blue one goes right in here. Now this guy, he's going to slide right here. And what I did was I know the stickles is not completely dried. What I did was put some glue right under here. I slid him like that, and then I had his leaves up. So I'm going to put some glue there. And slide him right like that. Making sure I'm not hitting that. Okay. The other one that I had was kind of the same idea, and I don't want to mess up my stickles. And this one's going to slide right like that with the wings up. Now when this does open, it's going to be okay because this flap is out and it's not going to hurt it none. So, okay. All right. Next thing is we have one of these, and we can slide that right underneath the lace here. But I had it going like this, and I am going to snip part of that so that when it lays up there, it's gonna be okay. Okay, there was one more, and I'm not going to put this down yet, but when you open it up, it's supposed to lay right like this. So whoops, now I did it. I probably have stickles back there, just like that. Awkward. Okay. There is a another one here, and I guess we should have put the stickles on it. We can do that in a moment. This one gets positioned right at the corner here. Okay, we do need to do our lace and ribbon bow here with the flat back pearl, and we're going to put some filler down underneath here, and we need to get that sentiment as well. Let's let this dry and get that. Okay, how I did this up in the corner here with the lace is really simple. I cut 3 pieces of really thin lace. I think this is from tip to tip. After I angled it, it's about 7.5 inches each, and then a 5.5 from tip to tip. All I did was take these and layer them right on top of each other, and then the smaller piece right in the middle, and then you can cut it down, but you just twist it like this, okay, and you can put some glue down to hold it there for a moment. And like I said, you can definitely trim this down, and I am using hot glue because it's quicker. Okay, and I'm using a low temp. Never use high temp. I would definitely end up in the hospital if I did that, touching like that. Okay, the next thing I did was just make a bow and put it right at the corner. And then after I do put that there, and I grab a flat back pearl to go in the center, that's where I can trim these down a little shorter if I wanted. So I'm going to grab a flat back pearl. Here is one. Okay. Now, as far as stickles, I can add that now, just what I need. And it was just a little bit up there. And depending on what kind of lace you use is how it's going to look, but that's how that was done. And you can fluff them up and do whatever you'd like there. Okay, let's see. I think my stickles here on this is dry enough to where I can now put this on where it needs to go. Right like that. The butterflies, one's going to go down here, but the other one can go up top. And I'm going to get that up there, so all I need to do is the last bit. And I'm just going to add a little hot glue to this guy. Okay, let's get this piece ready to go, and then we will start adding our filler. In your reserves, you will have this, and I am going to try and cut it straight, but we're looking to get memories out. Put this all back in reserves. This is mounted on black cardstock. So what I do, some of you who have taken my tutorials know that I like to leave a little black around the edges. So this is just something that you just need to eyeball. Grab a piece of scrap black cardstock and mount your sentiment, just leaving a little bit of black showing around the top and the side. And then we're going to go ahead and cut that. And using a paper cutter is always best to get it even. This is going to place right here. But let's get our butterfly on there first, and we do have some bling. I'm just going to add a little bit of glue. And he gets placed right here. Like that. Okay, bling and pearl trim and a little bit of lace if you want. I'll show you what I'm going to use. Okay, bling. You do not need a whole lot of bling. All you're going to do is peel this back and you're just going to cut enough to go, looks like right across there. That's what I did. Down here, we're going to cut just enough to get across over here. And I'll give you the measurement on how far to go up. This one's real easy because it's right on that seam that I told you wouldn't even know. And I don't want to get my head in the camera, so I'm kind of, okay. Okay, where you want to place this, we're going to snip this, just bend this in half, because I do have it at a slight angle. Bend it in half and just cut it in half. And it does go slight at an angle like this, and this is what I did. And we're going to start from approximately 1 inch. So we are going to angle these down a little bit, not at a real steep slope down, but just at a slight angle. And we'll start over here at 1 inch up, and you don't have to be real persnickety about it. Just do a line. And about 1 inch up from over here, and you can measure or eyeball it at this point to see, to make sure you're even on both sides. So that's what I'm going to do, and that looks pretty good. Okay, trim. Trim was done in the same way, so snip off enough. We do have a flat back pearl that goes on top. We're going to do the same thing here, is we're going to just kind of measure over enough that we need to bring it down at an angle. If it's easy for you to leave a gap in between the pearl, then do so. I'm just going to apply a little more glue and let that baby sit. Okay, I'm going to turn this around so I can see. Maybe you can see too. There, much better. I can see what I'm doing. Okay, and then on this side, I think that's good. Okay, and you're just going to come right over, right about here. Right where you can still see that little tip there. See if I'm even. Now you want to make sure that when you put that flat back pearl on the top, that it's not going to hit this, so that when you open and close it. So maneuver it. You can go up, down, whatever you want to do. But it is going to take some drying time. Now for I put some lace in between here. And to be honest, you really don't need it. All you have to do is just measure and snip a little bit and glue it right on down like so. That's all I did there. Okay. Our sentiment is very easy. We just apply some glue, and you don't want to put it all over because you do have hangover, just at the top. Okay, let's add our filler. Okay, filler. And all I'm going to do here is just start snipping off pieces and sticking it where I want it. So that's all that needs to be done. So I am going to show you quickly what I do. Just start poking things places and sticking them. If I need to trim it, I will trim it. And this is all according to taste, what you like. So what I like, you may not like. So and you just start tucking them in places that look like need it, like underneath the flowers, in between them. You can find these low temp hot glue guns, especially over at Joann's. They have them all the time on sale, or you can get one for a coupon, and you can, I mean, you can sometimes walk away $2.50, depending on where you live and what kind of coupons they offer in your area, but I think they work just fine. With pieces all over the place. Alright. I am going to add just a few more things here and there, and then we can move on into the inside. Now, as far as the spine, we're going to come back to that, because the piece that we want, this piece here, this is from leftover and scraps. So we're going to wait until the end, and then we can go back and do that. Okay. I'm going to clean this up just a little bit. And those of you that did buy the Julie Herrick's porcelain roses, well, you'll know by when you get them what I was talking about as far as being strong. They're not going to, it's not hurting anything. It's not chipping, and I know this album's going to last me a very long time, generations to come. So I was very pleased with the colors she dyed and did all her stuff with. Okay, let's move on into the inside, and we are going to get our drits out. Your drits, you will have, there's 3 sets in here, so you'll have enough to do 3 albums. The one that you want to put away for now is the one with the little hook thing. Set that off to the side. We want the flatter one. We are going to apply glue and set this. You will want a binder clip, and we are going to cover up what's showing there. Now, if you're wondering, well, how far out do I put it and so forth, what you can do is actually grab this, place it down with your glue, and if it slides through comfortably, great. If it's too tight to get in and out, well, then move it out a little. But I've got mine where I want it. And I'm just going to set my clip right there and let that dry. Okay, I think mine's dry not. Well, it's still drying. Grab a piece of cardstock, measure over 8 3/8 and cut it. This will go in your reserve pile. So now you're going to turn it and measure over 6 3/8 and cut it. Now, what you should have is an 8 3/8 by 6 3/8 piece. We're going to put score tape on the back of this, but what this is for is to come over here and to cover that part of the dreads. So let's go ahead and apply our score tape. And all we're going to do is go around like a picture frame. We are going to put another strip down the side that's going to hit the dreads. So let's do that. I had to take my husband to the airport again. We woke up at 3 in the morning and I told myself, when you get home you are going to go lay back down. Well, that did not happen. So I've been up since then and I am really tired. So I'm trying to stay on my game here, but I am getting pooped out. Having fun, but getting very tired. So this side here is the side that is going to go down over the dreads. Now remember, when we place this is going to fit just inside, and it's going to be to make sure you don't get on the crease there. So I'm going to take off my score tape, and this is the side with 2 rows. And for the easiest way for you to do, if it's easier for you to turn your album like this, and make sure, start over on this side maybe. Make sure you're just on the other side of that crease. And bring it down.